All right, this is my one Indian film of the weekend. Next one is OG, if not mistaken. But this weekend, Jolly LLB 3. Have I seen the other two? No. Do I need to? I did not. Chase Lehocky here with the Blue Futon reviewing Jolly B. Chase Lehocky here with the Blue Futon reviewing Jolly LLB 3. What's about pretty simple premise. You have two lawyers that kind of don't like each other, but they're going to have to separate their differences and come together and help these farmers out because a big corporation wants their land. And so, did I like this film? It was not bad. I think there were some glaring flaws with the second half of the film. I thought the first half of the film was a little bit better. But this is supposed to be taken from a case that happened in 2011. Unfortunately, I don't know all the details because when the text came at the very beginning, it's like, this case is based on something in 2011. I was starting to read, and it disappeared. And I'm like, if you're going to give me 5 to 7 sentences on the screen, give me like 10 to 15 seconds to read. Because at 3 seconds, I can't read all that. So it does seem like, though, there's a big corporation that wants to, build a racetrack, wants to build malls, shopping centers, etc., to kind of get out of this third or second world prospect and trying to say, hey, we're on the global stage of come to visit us. We have shopping centers, etc., but also for the Indian people, too, saying, why do we have to fly to Delhi, not Dolly. What am I, an idiot? I was thinking about, okay, the reason I said Dolly, because I'm planning a vacation to go to Dolly Parton's theme park in Tennessee. Truly, so I'm sorry for that. Slap in the face for just me being an idiot. So, yeah, why do we have to travel there? Why can't we have it here, etc.? But it is, shady business practices to get these farmers on their side. And that is what this first half of the movie is, right? Is suicide because these farmers are going down because they don't want to sell their land and things like that. The second half is truly the courtroom case. But also the first half is like the two lawyers kind of having some, antics going back at each other of like, trying to screw one over, steal another case, etc. The first case that opens up is a really weird one where it was like a man, pretending to be a female to, steal land. And I'm like, these are shady people. Like, at a point, I wasn't really liking these characters because of that reason of lawyers knowing that they're doing wrong to other people. And I know that's supposed to be a outlier or a segue into, shady practices that lead to good practices. I do understand that. But I was just like, man, I don't understand how people could just like, be happy about, that people like that do exist on this earth. So talk about this court case, the movie itself. I think the acting is pretty good. When the chuckles need to come, they do come. When the action does come, which is very little action, there's one fist fight and one serious thing that happens in the village. They're fine. They're not really like regular, like, oh shit, this is really filmed fantastically. It really isn't that way. I do think the biggest issue with this movie, though, is it tries to base it off something that happened in true life, but I don't feel like any of it was true life, right? Because it might have happened in 2011, but this court case feels like it like spread from 2011 to like 2019. And I'm like, I don't think it would be a 7-year court case. I could be wrong, or 8-year court case. I could be completely wrong. Let me know down below if I'm just completely out of it when talking about that. All right, the second half. Why did I like that less than the first half? Because when the court case decided to come along, it was very, very simplistic. I saw another Indian court drama that came out, The State versus Nobody. That was a court drama where I felt like we were getting to the weeds of back and forth of like, oh my God, who's telling the truth? Who's right? Who's wrong? While you are kind of getting that with this movie about NGOs, and me personally, I think NGOs can do more harm than good when you're relying so much on these outside organizations that are receiving money from the government that are not really going to the organizations they're supposed to go to. Like, you're seeing that a lot, right? With like, you can say USAID aid to Africa and stuff like that, where it's like, how much is that really helping the population of Africa? or is it going to these big donors, Clintons, Clintons, and is it going to them like Haiti and things like that? So there are things where I'm just like, maybe, we can help, but at a point it's like, are we really helping, or are we being like, the teat, where it's like you're sucking off that teat, and once that teat goes away, your reliance is like, okay, how do we get out of this mess, because we've been like focusing on another organization for so long. And it does bring that up, and I'm like, oh, that's a good point. But then the lawyers also are the good lawyers now. Bring up another good point about things going back and forth with like corruption and things like that. But like I said, you might have that, but it's so simplistic at the end, where I was just like, there is no courtroom drama, right? It just wasn't there, and that really bothered me. For if you're making a courtroom movie, you gotta have the courtroom drama of going back and forth of like, oh my God, is this person gonna make it, or who's gonna win this court case? You knew who exactly was gonna win this court case with how the movie was going. I think that's what really bothered me the most, is I was just like, I know the outcome. You knew the outcome of the movie, and there's that. And I think that is why they also added the side stories of the judge trying to get with a cop. You have, the marriages between the two judges, or between the two lawyers and things like that. Like I said, it's a good-looking film. I think it has some good messaging to it, especially like think of Farmer when you see him, because just like in the States, you have coastal elites that fly over the Midwest or never been in the Midwest, and they're like, what is those circles on the ground? Why does everything look like a square? Oh my God. And that's for me looking down on a plane. It's like, that's called farmland. It's called farming. That's how you get your corn, your soybeans, and all your vegetables. And fruit sometime. Yeah, that's what farmland is. And coastal elites are like, wait, my corn doesn't come from the back of Kroger or Albertsons. They don't can it in the back room. And you're just like, oh God. And you're thinking, Chase, don't be hyperbolic. But here's the thing. They interviewed people in California, and they thought their corn came from the back storeroom. Yes, it comes from there, but it's not grown in the back of Kroger's. Okay? So yes, thank you, farmers, for doing what you're doing. So that is a good message there. But I think overall as a movie, I was a little bit like underwhelmed with this movie overall. Yes, it had a good message. Yes, there were some good, scenarios in this movie that didn't make you think. But the second half really jumped from like intermission to like this fight sequence, if you want to put it that way, or this battle sequence in the village. Like, it kind of came out of nowhere, leading to an assassination. Here it's like, whoa. And then the courtroom drama. And the courtroom drama really wasn't drama, because you knew exactly where things were going to turn. Like, But it had a good message, though. Had a good message. So Jolly LLB 3 will receive a 3 out of 5 Futons, which equals that 60%. So to the critics and user scores gave this one, and we have 4 critics, 1 positive with a 4 out of 5, 1 negative, 1 positive with a 3.5 out of 5, and 1 negative with a 2.5 out of 5. So we have a 50% and my 60. Chase out here, the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember this Futontopia. You Blue Futon saying, watch a great day. I'm going to watch this day tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. I still love every single freaking one of you. And what is your best courtroom drama movie of this year?